Well, good morning. You're in the right place. I'm Jeff. We'll begin shortly. We're expecting, we've got over 200 people registered today, so I want to respect your time. We've got a lot to cover. While we're waiting, if you can find chat on your screen and let us know where you're from, that'd be fantastic. Just make sure that that function is working properly. Marty from Turks and Caicos. Okay, we got somebody from Toronto, Edmonton, a few people from Edmonton. I know we've got Vancouver, we've got Tofield, cool, near Edmonton. Blaine, welcome. Troy, Michigan, that's fantastic. I know we've got people from BC, we've got people from California, Niagara Falls, Kelowna, Kitchener. Interesting things going on in Kitchener. Great to see everybody here. And I believe you can all see the chat as well. Perfect. Okay. Well, as per my friend Marty, some housekeeping items. Washrooms are down the hall, I hope. There may or may not be coffee at the end of the session, the back of the room. My friend Claude and business partner and co-founder of Realm Network is here in the downtown Edmonton studio of Realm Network, where we've recorded a lot of videos, mostly myself, but Claude is at a safe distance. We've got the place ventilated. I made him wash his hands when he came in. So I think we're good. He will be monitoring chat and make sure that I get, he feeds me questions if there are any. We're going to move quickly and try to keep your questions related to the presentation today. Let's get going. You may see me in the bottom bottom left-hand corner. That's me. I am going to advance to the next slide. A long time ago, a very wealthy friend of mine and I were having a conversation. And he threw out this phrase as if, well, everybody knows this. He said, making money is simple. And then he said something else. But I knew where he was going, but I'm not really sure that I heard the rest of it because it was such a profound and simple and obvious statement to him. He had done it in many different arenas over and over again, and he really thought that making money is simple. But I know where he was going with it is that people need to work on their character, and there's deeper work that needs to happen in people's lives. But it caught me off guard and caused me to think that, is that true? If making money is simple for some people, why is it not for everybody? And there are some basic principles that if you follow, if you do this and this and this and this, you will absolutely get that next result. But the unfortunate thing is that life is hard. Things will come up that are unexpected, that will derail you. Let's say there's a recession or interest rates go up, or there's a pandemic, or your business partner has problems and you split up, or your husband or wife leaves you, or there's an illness. The plain truth of the matter is that while making money might be simple, life is hard. One of the wisest men who ever lived, King Solomon, thousands of years ago, said that the race is not to the swift or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth to the brilliant or favor to the learned, but time and chance happen to them all. So we are called actually to struggling, suffering, and self-denial. I know that's a rough way to start, but we've got a lot of exciting stuff to come up. I just need people to know that if you're going to define your success solely in terms of money, you will be disappointed. We'll cover some pretty awesome stuff in the next 50 minutes or so. And some of it will be so shocking that you may want to take action on it right away, but I need to caution you that it doesn't always work that way. So general disclaimer, this program is intended for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal, accounting, or investment advice. Real estate markets are local. That means there's people on this call from all kinds of places. Everything that I talk to you about today will work no matter where you are on the planet, but you need to do your own research in your local market. I will use examples from Canada and probably more specifically Edmonton, because that's where I live and work right now. Independent research and the services of competent professionals should be sought prior to acting on any new information. All right, let's jump in. I wanted to ask your story. Many years ago, I was in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, with a group of about a dozen people, and we were going to a meeting, and the meeting was supposed to start on the top of an hour. It was 20 minutes after the hour before our van picked us up to take us to the venue, and I think it was a half-hour ride. And I see Claude smiling because he is from Africa. And we arrived, I think, 15 or 10 minutes before the event was supposed to end. And we were one of the first people there. So gradually people started trickling in. And when they all arrived, the first thing that the moderator did was had them all introduce themselves. There were about as many people at that meeting as there are on this call today. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just introduce myself, although I do want to hear your story and know more about you. So a few days ago, I asked my mom to, I don't know if she's on the call, but I asked my mom to send a picture of me and my dad, because my story has a lot to do with him. If you're involved in real estate, you need to have a real estate story. Why do you want to do this? Let me share with you what mine is. This is the picture that I ended up using because Mom's still looking for the right picture. I will get it in the future. I know she loves me, and she's got lots of pictures of me and my brothers and my sister and my parents. But this is what I looked like years ago, many years ago, when I sold real estate in the city of Edmonton. I had a lot more hair and I was younger, and I actually dressed better, it looks like. So, but the story goes back a little bit further. When I was probably grade 4, grade 5, I came home from school one day, and I noticed my dad sitting at the dining room table. He was doing something that was kind of unusual for him. So I asked him, what are you doing? It looked like math homework. He had maybe a calculator, if we had those back then, and a bunch of papers spread out. He explained to me that what he was doing was something called income taxes. And like a good father, he actually showed me what he was doing. And that's when I learned that my parents owned a house that we didn't live in another city where we used to live. As it turns out, they didn't sell that house, but they rented it to another family. For me, it was mind-boggling. Another family was living in our old house and paying something called a mortgage. I think ever since then, I've been intrigued by real estate and how it works. Many years later, I moved to Lake Louise, Alberta. Actually lived there for 4 years, and my first real estate investment was there. I had tremendous cash flow off of one property, and I imagined what would life be like if I had 10 of these or more. And so I encourage you to have a story. My story wasn't all straight up success, far from it. I never really did add those extra properties that I probably should have added. I got distracted with other things. I got a real job, and then it wasn't until I even had a real estate job at one point, which is what this picture represents. I had a real estate job. I dabbled in real estate investment. I took some courses, seminars, workshops. I read a lot of good books, but I never really got started. I probably got to about a dozen properties. I've continually owned properties since I was 21, but I never really got started until I had a personal financial crisis in about 2009. In 2007, I invested in other people's projects. In 2008, April Fool's Day, I bought a national chain of retail stores, and that was the final straw. We closed all of the stores in 2009. I was emotionally and financially exhausted, and I needed to figure out what else to do. There's two things I'm pretty good at: the management of dental practices, the business management of dental practices, and real estate. I'm not a dentist, so I chose real estate, repositioned myself back in Edmonton again. And over the next 5 years, I acquired 497 properties. Today, sorry about that, folks. What we'll cover today: how to get what you want, the 4 keys to every residential real estate investment, and why most people focus on the wrong 2. 3 ways to get paid without exiting a real estate investment, insight into the remarkably accurate and often ignored 18.3-year cycle, which I thought I studied many years ago, but learned tremendous about in the last few weeks. What novices think they know and what experts really know, and key indicators, how to know more about your market than almost anyone else. Finally, we'll end up with your foolproof plan for the next 180 days. So let's start with how to get what you want. I'm going to start simple and then dive deep into more interesting stuff. And I will give you sources for just about everything that I share with you. How do you get what you want? Well, Zig Ziglar said, you can get everything you want in life if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. So number one, if you help enough other people get what they want, you can get what you want. Number two, let me ask you a question. What do doctors, maybe some lawyers, senior executives, professional athletes, outrageous entrepreneurs all have in common, except that they helped a lot of people get what they want? Another thing they have in common is many of them are financially successful. But the third thing they have in common is they all have invested a tremendous amount of time and effort in building up themselves. Professional athletes, musicians, entertainers, executives, through the training that they have and the work that they do and the experience they've laid down. So number one, you can have anything you want in life. You just help enough other people get what they want. Number two, you need to invest in yourself so you have something to give. And then number three, you need to ask. Asking reminds me of when I was in sales, I had a lot of knowledge, but it wasn't until I had the guts to actually ask that things changed. I remember making sales calls and I would explain things to people, but it wasn't until I said phrases like, what I'm going to do for you is, or the reason I'm calling is. And when I started saying those things, people just went, oh, okay, I understand. I'll do that. So these are the three things you need to do to get what you want. Does that make sense? Okay, it led to another problem years later in 2009, as I explained when I went through a bit of a personal financial crisis. I had remembered what I did when I was younger. In fact, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Are we getting video? Okay, so this is a course that I took there. I think there were 44 pages in this little book by Raymond Aaron back in 1980. It was called How to Really Make It in Real Estate. And I read that, took the course, and I even learned how to do things like buy a $70,000 house with no cash, get $7,000 back on closing that I could keep, and then flip that to somebody else by paying them $3,000. There have been times in a cyclical flow of real estate where things work and other things don't. I remember that even if you had to borrow the rest of the down payment, you could still make properties cash flow. That's much more difficult today. And that's when I learned that there's really four things that are required for every residential real estate investment. You need to be able to find the best opportunities, you need to fix them, and then you're going to need cash for down payment and credit for financing. And nobody has an unlimited supply of all four. By the way, the bottom right-hand corner, credit for financing, is not always necessary. There are, I believe, some listeners on this call that have faith-based priorities that encourage them not to borrow. I'm learning more about halal investing, which is just pure investing in good things without borrowing or lending. And so whoever you are listening to this, there's something in it for you. And I want to address now why I think most people focus on the wrong two. I didn't have, when I lost my cash, I didn't have a job and I didn't have cash, so I couldn't get credit. I had the other two things. I really did know how to find good properties and I knew how to improve them. So if I focused on, well, how do I find cash and how do I find credit, I wouldn't have been successful. What I needed to do was focus on my strengths, building up my strengths rather than shoring up my weaknesses. That's not to say that I don't need to know about raising cash and acquiring credit. But what it did mean is it had been 20 some odd years since I'd been in Edmonton. I needed to learn that market again, and I needed to learn what was new. I knew I could, but I needed to focus on my strengths and let the rest follow. So if you're on this call and you're on the other side, you have cash and you have credit, you need to learn a little bit about how somebody finds property and a little bit about how they fix it. If you want to partner with people, you need to know a little bit, but they need to be the expert. If you want to do all four, these are the four that you need to know. And everything that I teach focuses on one or all four of these. So I want to be clear on what is investing. Well, I am kind of fundamentally lazy. I don't like to do any work that I don't need to do. But I'm also disciplined. And I think if we're going to be real estate investors, we need to understand a definition of investment. So the definition that I have come across is, or I believe in, is that it is limiting current consumption in favor of future consumption. Spending money today will not allow me to have the opportunity to spend in the future. So limiting current consumption by investing my cash and resources into something in the hopes that it's going to grow and I'm going to have the ability to access that in the future. So under this definition, although I have nothing against it, I do not think that flipping is investing. Because as soon as you exit, if you buy, fix something and sell it to somebody else, as soon as you're out of that, you are out of an investment. It's real estate related, and it may be a good thing to do, and it may fit your skill set. But as soon as you exit, you're no longer an investor, and it's no longer working for you. I like the idea of property values increasing and mortgages being reduced and cash flow coming in, rather than having go out and get another deal and another deal. Also, if you invest in, or if you deal in Airbnb in properties that you don't own, that is real estate related, and it may be a good thing to do, but it's not an investment. You are a property manager. Just like if you're flipping, you are a self-employed contractor. Nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't fall within my definition of investing. So how do you find freedom? Well, there are three ways. First, I learned this from Derek Lobo, who is a commercial broker out of Toronto. I think this was a phrase that he shared many years ago in a large group that I was in, but it stuck with me. Become a programmatic buyer. Meaning if you're just going to buy one property, that's fine. But if you're going to buy multiple properties, it's very important for you to know exactly what you're doing, so much so that your customers know what you do and the suppliers that serve you know what you do, and people will bring you deals. And when you learn how to do something, you can do it very quickly. So number one, become a programmatic buyer. Number two, develop and implement systems. So I've told my friend Claude to pick up a copy of The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Michael Gerber, the E-Myth is the entrepreneur myth. You think you're going to be in business for yourself. No, you have other people that you're working for. It might be tenants, it might be staff, but you're always working. And the E-Myth is that all of a sudden things are going to be easy for you because you get to do what you love. The truth is, if you're running a business, you have a lot of things to do. So I have a 3-step process for that. Number one, when I enter something new, I get a general idea of what I'm doing. I just jump in and I do what I call muddle through. And then step number two, I create a system. And then number three, I want to start teaching it to someone else. So creating system is something that I've done. I have systems and templates and samples and guidelines and resources for absolutely everything I do. And I'd be willing to share them with you. Number three, years ago, I did a workshop called How I Bought 18 houses in 18 months with none of my own cash or credit. In that, one of the segments is how to buy a house in 5 hours or less. Well, if you think about it, if you're a programmatic buyer and you're buying the same thing over and over and over again. So in single family, I focused on townhouses, one and a half bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-story townhouses with a fenced yard in North or Northeast Edmonton. I became the absolute expert at that. And it doesn't matter what you focus on. If you become programmatic and then develop and implement systems, you get it down to the point where you really can do a deal in 5 hours or less, which is why I am not a full-time investor. Good heavens. Why would I want to do that? I enjoy freedom. That's what I'm after. So we need to get paid, however, and I told you I would share with you 3 maybe lesser known ways to get paid. without exiting a real estate investment. So if you were to flip or if you're to sell a property, you get a payday. But my paydays may be a long, long time off in the future. So I needed to figure out a way to go from zero income from something to something right away. So here we are. Number one, I charge an acquisition and project management fee equal to 2% of the final value of a property. So if I could acquire something at a reduced rate, improve the value of it, and get a new appraisal, and brought a partner in on that, my skills and time and effort and the years and decades of learning how to do that and save tens of thousands of dollars on entry and then managing the renovations or whatever needed to go on was worth something. I charged a 2% acquisition and project management fee. In my marketplace, which is very low prices of about $200,000, that would translate to about $4,000. If I was doing one of those deals a month, that would be $4,000 a month. It's a start. Number two, I charge a property management fee. I believe that one of the most important things that I add value to is managing the selection of a tenant. I find the right tenant. I don't need to talk to them for another 5 years. Well, I do talk to them, but I don't need to continually check in with them. If I get the wrong tenant, it's going to be a problem. Can you hire a property manager? Yes, absolutely. Can that be a third-party company? It can, or you can hire somebody that works directly for you, or you can do it yourself. The way I do it, it gives me an income of about $135 a month per property. And that's not an awful lot. So I want to talk to you about critical mass. Critical mass is any successful business needs to start and grow very quickly. I remember years ago, I spoke with one of the founders of Century 21 Canada, which was the first real estate franchise introduced to Canada, I believe in the early 70s. A franchise is worth absolutely nothing to somebody if there's no network, if there's only one. He explained to me that what he needed to do was get to critical mass very fast so that now you've got a network and you've got brand name recognition. So if you want to earn an income from real estate beyond acquisition and project management fees and add on property management, you need to do it well, but you need to get there fast. And that's in anything that anybody does. All successful salespeople go through periods of tremendously high volume prospecting earlier in their careers. And the faster you get there, the better it's going to be for you. So understanding critical mass is important. There is a third way. And the third way is go out and get a real estate job. I don't recommend that anybody leave their job if they want to invest in real estate. If you can systemize things and get it down to a few hours a month, why would you give up your job and your ability to qualify? In fact, when I moved to Edmonton, I kept income from speaking and consulting because that helped me get through those early lean years. However, if you're on this webinar and one of the things that you just want to do is get out of your job, I hope it's not to get another full-time job, because real estate requires as much study and experience as anything else that you might be doing now, and you may not have that. But if you want to get paid and learn fast, why not get a real estate job? If I think about it, that's what I did when I showed you the picture of me younger. I went out and got a real estate license. It wasn't that hard to do. I earned an income from commission income from selling real estate, but I got to practice with a lot of other people's money. I got to learn from other investors. I got to see a high volume of transactions and deals, and it wasn't at my risk. And then I got to enter when I was ready. All right, here's some real estate jobs: realtor, mortgage broker, banker, lender, appraiser, home inspector, property manager, either residential or commercial. I have friends who've done all of these things. Renovator, contractor, work for a developer, become a personal assistant of an expert real estate investor. If you're already a professional, like a lawyer or journalist, why not focus on real estate? Are there others that I've missed here? If there are, go ahead and enter it in chat. Okay, so to summarize, acquisition project management fee. Stop and start webcam. I'm being told to stop and start webcam because it's not working. I will do that. Okay. I won't worry about that. I want to take a break and catch up. Are there any messages we need to respond to? Okay. Yet to come is the 18.3-year cycle, what to do about that knowledge, how to know more about your marketplace than absolutely anybody else, and the 180-day foolproof plan. So I want to let you know that although I don't technically have a real estate job now due to COVID-19, I'm doing less consulting and speaking. And at the end of this presentation, I will give you an opportunity to work with me. According to my definition of investing, I'm leaving all cash in the projects and using it to pay down mortgages. So my income is really from property management right now, or when I do a new project, bringing in those fees. So let's move on to the remarkably accurate and often ignored 18.3-year plan. Back in 1997, when I was doing my MBA, I did a research project and I titled it, "Is Real Estate Really Dead?" Because the preceding 10 years, it seemed to be there was little activity in the Canadian market. It wasn't a sophisticated enough title for a university, so they made me add using demographics to focus or to forecast cyclical behavior. At the time, I believed that there was a 7-year cycle that looked something like this. There were troughs and peaks. Let me see if I can use it. So this would be a trough and this would be a peak. But you'll notice that the next trough is higher than the last one. And I thought it was about 7 years. As it turns out, I wasn't completely wrong. If we looked at each one of those peaks and troughs, I'm leaning now on the work of Mueller from the University of San Diego, I believe. I want to get that right. University of Denver, 1995. Glenn Mueller, PhD, came up with this diagram. So we start with down here recovery, and during recovery we see gradually declining vacancy, but no new construction. So there is more supply and not enough demand. Then we move into the suppliers come in and start providing construction. We start to see vacancy decline. We get to the top or near the top of the market, and hyper supply just means oversupply. So when we hit that, there are new projects coming on. Vacancy increases. There are more new projects coming on. It's very frustrating for people who own lots of projects like I do. And then we have increasing vacancy as yet more come on, and that's a recession. That is the market cycle, the 4 quadrants. I specifically focused on demographics. There's a difference between technical, where you follow a trend, the upward trend that I showed you, and fundamentals. So technical is understanding what's going on. Fundamentals is understanding the facts. You can come back to this screen and find on Statistics Canada this population pyramid, which I'm showing you right now on your screen, and it's going to start moving. If you watch in the top left-hand corner here, that is the year. On the left, we have male. On the right, we have female. And you can see that it's gradually expanding. The reason real estate always goes up in value is because there's always more people to buy it as our population grows through 3 things. It grows through fertility rate, having babies. It grows through immigration, people moving into your country, or migration, moving across the country. You can stop this and try it. There was a war in there which decreased in 1937, right about now. That's when my father was born. Watch what happens after he was born. Lots of people to serve, lots of people to rent to. Going on to 1961, my brother, a year older than me, was born. Look what happens to him. Fewer people. So there's less to serve. And then as we get to modern day 2016, which is when this was done, this chart will turn pink and you will see projections. It goes out to 2036. Here we are to the projections. If you look just to the right down here, you'll see that these projections that I've set up are for medium growth, as was presumed prior to COVID-19. What if immigration rate is lower? If you see the bulges, if you follow chart like this, a population pyramid, you can see and guess what age people are going to be at what stage. So student housing will be affected. Family formation, young couples buying maybe condos, but then wanting to get married and have kids and bigger houses. And then as they have bigger houses, they might have a summer house. And then as they get older, they're maybe looking to downsize, and then maybe seniors accommodation. This is what developers use. This is part of the information that they use. So that was about the extent of my project. And then I came across this remarkably accurate and often ignored 18.3-year cycle. It goes way back to 1776. Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations. In 1809, David Ricardo came up with the law of rents. Now, rent is, in economic terms, is actually surplus. It's not what you might understand as renting a property for. The information that I found most instructive goes back to 1947, Dewey and Dakin, called Cycles, the Science of Prediction. Their work was denounced by Milton Friedman as pseudoscience. Milton Friedman is a trusted was trusted, respected, highly decorated economist. But if you think about it, economist is a social science anyway. But others have embraced and taken Dewey and Dakin's work and Ricardo's law further. For example, Fred Harrison in 2006 wrote a book called Ricardo's Law, and then 2010, boom, bust, house prices, banking, and the Depression of 2010. But the most credible source today, I believe, is Philip Anderson out of Australia. His most recent work is The Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking. I've given you his website there if you want to go and dig further. But I'll move along. This is Dewey and Dakin's book, and this is the hand-drawn chart that they used back in 1947 to show very clear 18-year rhythm going back hundreds of years. The scale across the bottom is years. The scale on the left is an index, so it's showing volume. They projected out to the 70s. There are people who've taken this chart and projected out to modern day and beyond, and it looks very similar. I chose not to present that, but rather to go back to my squiggly line of troughs and peaks and troughs and peaks in a continually upward trajectory that is based upon the reality that land truly is not in scarce supply, but there's no new land being made, and the land that everybody wants to live on is in limited supply. So that's why the general trend up. But is it always up? Not necessarily. As we saw, there are these phases, and then now let's chunk down even closer. This is what the study says now. There is a clear 18, and I say 18, actually Philip Anderson says 18.6, other people say 18.3, and Dewey and Dakin said 18 years. So I said 18.3-year cycle. It's never less than 17 and never more than 21, but typically a cycle will run 14 years up with a breather in between and 4 years down. So there's a recovery phase, there's a mid-cycle dip when things are kind of going okay, but we're not so sure. And then there's an explosive growth phase, at the end of which you probably don't want to be caught because there's going to be a recessionary phase. Does this make sense so far? And if it does, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to try to find those on my screen here. Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay, well, the one question that I had was, okay, so if that's true, where are we now? Well, this is the work of Philip Anderson. He brings it down into this. This chart was prepared in 2019, end of 2019, where the yellow circle is. If you thought that we were at the beginning of a rise or at the top of the rise, you may have been wrong. I don't know for sure that this is how it will play out, but Philip is saying that we're about in the that mid-cycle slump, mid-cycle slowdown. So if that's true, we may have another 7 years to go. He also says that the U.S. is where all of his, even though he's in Australia, U.S. is where all of his studies were done because it leads the market major economic markets, usually by 6 months. So it would be about 6 months ahead of Australia, and it's probably ahead of Canada as well. So the COVID-19 experience was not predictable in that it would be a health pandemic. It could have been a natural disaster. It could have been a financial hiccup. But there's always something in the middle that causes that mid-cycle slump. After it, we kind of figure things out and we start building again. There's huge infrastructure spending. There's a commodities boom. And then eventually we think we've got everything figured out. And everything's going to... Do you know why the tallest buildings... Okay, you know why the tallest buildings are always built at the end? That's when they can get financing. So if this is true, we might have a breather of another 5 years, but you do not want to get caught in this area, which is called the winner's circle, where you think everything's going to work forever. You want to be careful of single cycle gurus who've only been in the market for less than 18 years and don't have any experience of what could go wrong. So I'm just looking at some of the questions. This ignores printing of money. The 18-year cycle, actually, the idea is that throughout decades and decades and decades and hundreds of years, there have been efforts by central banks to solve problems. Ray Dalio talks about a grander cycle that we may be in as well. I don't have time to go into that now. Does it apply to all markets? Yes, it applies to, actually, this applies to the real estate market all across the world and to stock markets and equities markets as well. What year are we in? Yeah, good question. Where do I see in your specific city? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that research so that you know. And I see if there's a few other people that asked similar questions. Thanks for those questions. So this is Mark Twain. He was brilliant. He said, "Ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." So here are the takeaways: what novices think they know and what experts really know. The first one is maybe a little simplistic, but really property values will never go to zero. There's always value to the land and the property that you're on. I do think that there are ghost towns, and there are some exceptions to that, which is why I try to stick my investing to major metropolitan areas. I find that smaller towns are more cyclical, but if you know what you're doing, don't be afraid to go there. Number two, there's a 20-year buy and hold strategy is not a bad idea, because it's going to cover the 18 years no matter what happens. If you go in with that, and I'll give you two things you need to watch out with before we finish this. Cycles, peaks and troughs, they're normal, nothing to be worried about. Number four, the media and your friends are almost always wrong. If people are telling you, I did this, I'm investing in real estate, and everybody's doing it, that's probably the time to start thinking about how do you want to position yourself. When you're reading in the media that things are going to go up forever, that problems have been solved, that's the time to start seriously thinking about it. Consequently, when they're very pessimistic, you can learn from that as well. Beware that winner's curse. Don't get caught thinking that this time it's different. Everything's going to go on forever. Stockpile cash during the winner's circle. At the very least, make sure that you've got cash flow and equity. I am not saying that cash is a good investment right now. Cash could be devalued in the times ahead, but you don't want to be caught with an over-leveraged property or rent that isn't covering your expenses when that happens. And then number 8, be a contrarian. I love John Templeton. Sir John Templeton was an investment guru, I guess. And he said, the time of maximum pessimism is the best time to buy, and the time of maximum optimism is the best time to sell. So watch for those opportunities. Let's transition into how you can know more about your market than everyone else. I said prior to the webinar that you could learn more about your market than almost anyone else, because I thought some people might not be confident enough to know that it's true. I know more about my market than absolutely anybody else. It's my market. I own lots of properties that are all the same. They're all in the same part of town. I do not rely on CMHC statistics from 6 months ago about what vacancy rate should be. I don't rely on neighbors to tell me what they think rent should be. I can find out directly. I've given you a list here of the markets that I follow, and I say, subscribe to their lists, follow them on social media. So in Canada, we have Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. They've got fantastic data. Go get that. I've shared some with you already. Statistics Canada, amazing. There will be equivalent in the US. Like I said, I'm using Canadian examples here. City economists, talk to planning and development office. They're paid to do that. Commercial brokers, right now, they've got amazing workshops that you can, and webinars that you can listen to for free. I've listed Jones Lang LaSalle, Altus, CBRE, Marcus and Millichap, but there are others. Lenders, RBC in Canada, RBC, ATB in Alberta, CIBC, TD. Keep in mind that the economists assigned to these lenders, it's their job to promote the banks and promote lending. So sometimes their information is a little rosy, but they're very good at communicating it and worth listening to. Follow other authors, other economists, other investors, your insiders, people that you know. My realtor is invaluable. So are there other real estate leaders in your network? Follow them. And then local market information. Run advertisements, read advertisements. I'm sure there are many others which I can help explore with you. Or if there's any that I've missed that you want to share in chat, please do that so that other people can benefit. So I told you I'd leave you with your foolproof plan for the next 180 days, and I intend to do that. I'm saying it's foolproof because absolutely you will not lose money if you do this. If you follow this, you will be much, much further ahead than you are right now. So here it is, foolproof plan. There are 5 steps. And I'm going to start with Jim Rohn, who passed away a few years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. Jim said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. I have found this to be true in my life, and I've been blessed with really terrific people that I'm able to hang out with. I like this picture of these 5 young ladies that are all, I'm sure, very different, just like everybody else. And they actually look like nice girls, but there's a consistency about them. And you'll find if you look at your 5 closest friends that you will be like them too. So back about 10, 12 years ago, Michael Gladwell published a book called The Tipping Point. And in it, he popularized Dunbar's number. Well, Dunbar's number says that we can retain about 150 relationships. 5 are our inner circle. 15 might be family, friends, good friends. There's about 35 in there that are we would consider close friends. And then another 150 that are really meaningful contacts and we can reach out to. There's about 500 people that you probably come across from day to day, and maybe about 1,500 people in your life that you can recognize, and maybe if you're really good, remember their name. But it's that 150. It's actually, Dunbar's number is actually 148, but 150 is close enough. My challenge to you is in the next 180 days, talk to 150 people. Talk to 150 people. That's less than 1 a day. Will you reach out to 150 people? Will you be able to talk to all of them? Absolutely not. Here's what you do. Reach out by, in this order, unless you've got a better way. Phone, then email, then text, then social media. If you can actually speak to them, that's probably best. What are you going to do? Invite them to, as is appropriate. You can invite them to coffee. I like coffee because it has a beginning and end. You can escape. You can take as long as you like. Breakfast, beginning of the day, lunch, a video call so you can actually see them and reconnect with them, or a phone call. But ideal is get face-to-face with them, 150 people in 180 days. If you do the first part, reach out to them by phone or email, and you take a chunk in the first week and try to set up appointments, you will get through 150 in 180 days. The ones that are worth meeting with, at least. And then here's what you do when you meet with them. Talk about them. Some magic phrases. When they finish talking about them, before they turn the conversation to you, say something like, oh, tell me more about that. Or if they haven't completely finished a thought, say, and then what? Do not do these things. Do not talk about yourself at all unless they ask. And whatever you do, do not pitch them. This is not your time for an elevator pitch. You've got 180 days. Reach out to 150 people. You should be working on yourself, not on convincing them of something when you haven't talked to them for a while. Okay, don't have any friends. That's a legitimate question. But I'm going to give you 3 ways. I'm going to challenge you on that, but I'm going to give you 3 ways to find those 150 people. Join some kind of a group. For me, when I moved back to Edmonton, Toastmasters was an outstanding group, made a lot of great contacts through there. There are faith groups. Reconnect with your church or mosque or synagogue. Or if you are going through something, find a support group. There's support groups for all different kinds of things. If you're going through death of someone or a health crisis or a divorce or an addiction, there are great people in all those groups, and they're there to help you. And if you're really feeling despair, I want to talk to you. We will follow up with an email later on today. And for only if you feel you really need to talk to somebody in your despair, please don't take advantage of it, or please don't abuse this. But you can book a 12-minute call with me. I will not sell you anything. I just want to help you get back on track. I want to encourage you, let you know that you're not alone. So you'll find that in the footer of an email I'll send in about an hour. So for the rest of us, your goal in meeting those people is to make them say, you know, I like me best when I'm with you. I have friends like that. Do you have friends like that? That is your goal when you meet with them. Okay, number 2, read 12 books. Earlier I said read 6, but I want to say 12. That's 12 books in 6 months. That's 2 a month. It's a challenge. What do you read about? Read about real estate, investing, business, economy, persuasion, negotiation, biographies, motivation, inspiration, others. Enter in the chat what other types of books, or if there's a really great book that you're reading right now, please do that. I want to let you know that Brian Tracy, who's done a lot of research, says that if you read just 1 book a month, half of what I'm recommending to you, that will put you eventually in the top 1% of income earners in our culture. It's interesting to note that I want to get this right. Warren Buffett, who's done well, reads 500 pages per day. Mark Cuban reads 3 hours a day. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. And Elon Musk taught himself to build rockets by reading books. Would you join me in a challenge to read 12 books in the next 6 months, 180 days? Number 3, find a coach or mentor. The difference between a coach and a mentor is a coach watches you and helps you be the best at what you are. A mentor has been where you are and helps you get there. You don't need to pay for a coach or a mentor. You can, they are available. But some of the best relationships are people that are ahead of you, that you want to learn from, and that you reach out to. You must take initiative to do that. Reach out to somebody, find a coach or a mentor, whether it's real estate or anything else that you want to do, whatever field you want to do, this 180-day plan will work for you. And then number 4. Oh, let me show you this quick. This is a 59-second video. Do we have audio?
I came over here with absolutely nothing. I had $20 in the pocket and some sweaty clothes in the gym bag. But let me tell you, I had this one little apartment, and on Thanksgiving, the bodybuilders from Gorge Gym came to my apartment, and they brought me pillows, dishes, silverware, all of the things they didn't have. I always tell people that you can call me anything that you want, but don't ever, ever call me a self-made man. And it gives the wrong impression that we can do it alone. None of us can. The whole concept of the self-made man or woman is a myth. I would have never made it in my life without the help. So this is why I don't believe in a self-made man. Why I want you to understand that is because as soon as you understand that you are here because of a lot of help, then you also understand that now is time to help others.
I found that inspirational words from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've always admired him because he has found success in a variety of fields. He has not been perfect, but I thought that was a crisp reminder that there's no such thing as a self-made person and that we are here to help others. So number 4 is to wait and watch. I chose this image of an owl because owls are known for wisdom, but they're also very good hunters. They wait and they watch, and they're not in a big rush. What do you do while you're waiting and you're watching? Well, I just reprinted this slide. Get to know your market. Know it better than anyone else. The only thing that I'd maybe add here that I didn't talk about is you can maybe look at a few properties and only enter if you're ready, if you're confident to. If you feel that it's time, go ahead and do it. I'm not telling you not to take action, I'm just telling you, there's plenty of time to wait and watch if you're working on these 5 things. And then finally, in the email that we send a little bit later on today, I will give you a free copy of the 7 keys to winning big in business and life. These are the 7 things that I did when I had to regroup and move back to Edmonton to begin acquiring nearly $100 million worth of real estate. This is a very short guide, and there's an action step at each one of them. And my encouragement to you is go ahead and do the action, even if you do it poorly, but get started and do it all in one setting, all in one reading. You can come back to it and visit it. I'd like you to have that as my gift to you. I want to summarize this foolproof plan for the next 180 days and try to convince you that it really is foolproof and it's free. So talk to 150 people. Yes, you may have to buy coffee, breakfast, or lunch. You can sit on a park bench, go for a walk as well. But can you imagine if you reconnect with 150 people and do this alone in the next 180 days, how your life couldn't be richer and how you couldn't have more contacts and more people in your network and more people in your corner, especially if you make them feel good about knowing you. If you do that alone, you will be further ahead. Number 2, read 12 books. Can you imagine reading 12 books in the next 180 days? How much more interesting, how much more you would have to offer, and how much you will have learned that can enrich your life. If you just do number 2 and not number 1, you will be further ahead in 180 days than you are now. Number 3, find a coach or mentor. My goodness, if you have somebody in your corner that can watch you and help you and lead you and open doors for you, you've got 180 days. Find somebody who can do that for you. Number 4, wait and watch. Do all that market research. By all means, enter if you're ready. But if you just do this, you will know more about your market than anybody else. Don't rely on regurgitated information from people that don't even live in your city or work in your market area. Don't discount that. It's helpful. But find out what their bibliographies are. Find out what their sources are, and then go directly to the source. And then number 5, please, I would encourage you to check out the 7 keys to winning big in business and life action guide. Some of you already have it. If you haven't completed it, please go do that. Now, would you like an unfair advantage? I've described an unfair advantage as the relationships, resources, and resourcefulness unique to you that might give you an edge when implementing an idea. I hope that you've gotten some value so far. If you have, please send me a note. Is there anything that I promised that I haven't delivered on yet? I really don't think so, because I tried pretty hard to make sure that we hit everything that I had in my outline for you. So we're good? Okay. I'm going to take you right to the end. If you can please give me another 5 minutes, I will take you right to the end. There is something for everyone on this call. And I am going to give you an opportunity to work with me if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. Remember, my income comes from property management. It comes from acquisition project management fees when I'm doing deals. And it does come from real estate investment, coaching, advising, or consulting and speaking when I have the opportunity to do that. So I would like to do work with you, but I don't need to. I'm offering an 18-week personal coaching and mentorship package. The first part of that is just one-on-one coaching, 9 one-on-one sessions, 25 minutes each, every other week, just you and me on the phone or on Zoom. It's your choice, where I want to get to know you and help you figure out what works for you, not what worked for me 10 years ago, not what worked for me or somebody else a year ago, and not what worked in my market, but help you figure out how to get the most out of your market. You can pause and bank unused coaching sessions for up to 18 months if you want to take the summer off, or if you want to do part of them now and part of them a year from now when you learn something and get onto it. It's kind of nice to have that. Unlimited email access to me during active coaching weeks. You can reach out to me. You can send me samples, templates, projects that you're working on, and an emergency hotline. If you're struggling with a problem and need help right now, call me. I will give you my cell phone. This is not for everybody, and I have very limited availability for it because there's an intimate nature of these. I need to get to know you well. So I imagine there are a few people on this call this would apply to, but it's not for everybody. If you sign up for 18 weeks of personal coaching and mentorship, I'm going to give you 3 bonuses. Number 1, how I bought 18 houses in 18 months with none of my own cash or credit. This is the same workshop that I did back in 2012 for the first time, that I just shared with people how I did what I did. It was actually 25, but 18 and 18 sounds a little more catchy. I've now created it as a 5-week, 5 modules online live training where we will have live question and answer as well. I will also, as bonus number 2, oh, I'm sorry. Let me finish number 1 first. This is all what's covered in that course. I don't have time to read all of those. They're on your screen. I will talk to you about the only 2 investments that make any sense at all in today's global economy. I will be very heavily lean on how to influence with integrity. I will show you how to do a deal in 5 hours or less. I'll share real life case studies. I'll give you comprehensive checklists. I'll bring in very special guests, some of whom are on this call today. And I'll share other successful strategies that I've shared along the way. The interesting thing about this is I am not telling you that you can do what I did. This course is called How I Bought 18 Houses in 18 Months with None of My Own Cash or Credit. It's in the first person because it gives me the freedom to tell you what I did. It's all the basics, foundational fundamentals of real estate investing applied to real life application that I did. You don't have the connections and the people that I do. We need to figure out what yours are. So this is a place to get started. It will give you everything you need to apply if you figure out how to apply it. I'm going to give you also 18 months unrestricted access to all password protected content on myrealmnetwork.com. So this means you will get all the investment models, all the forms that I use, all the templates, all the research, all the recommendations, and everything else that Claude and I add in the next 18 months. And we are adding stuff every week. You'll have unrestricted access to that. Bonus number 3. If you sign up for the coaching and mentorship package, the full deal, I will invite you to topical mastermind web conferences that I hold several times a year, where very high level friends of mine get together and engage. And these are very small groups of 30 or less, where we will engage to work out problems that are going on in real time that are related to others. Often we will consider them from a kingdom perspective. We're going to be looking at how does the world really work in light of eternity. I will invite you to attend those as a guest and participate if, because of our coaching mentorship relationship, I have determined that you have something of value to offer. So those are the 3 for the coaching package. Here's how it breaks down. 18 weeks of personal coaching and mentoring. That alone I would charge $2,250 for. How I Bought 18 Houses in 18 Months sells for $880. 18 months of unrestricted access. Well, that's $20 a month. So $360 comes with the package. The exclusive fly on the wall invitations to mastermind web conferences truly are priceless, to be in the presence of these men and women and addressing in real time problems that are going on. The total value of this package is well over $3,490. It's yours today for only $1,800 or 3 monthly payments of $633. There's probably a link below where you're watching this that you can go and check out the sales page. You have time to do this. You don't need to buy today. Read through it and understand if this is for you. I want to talk to you. If it's not for you, that's fine. In fact, if it's not, I'm offering 100% 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. You've got 30 days to decide. You can decide before you sign up, and then after you sign up, you've got 30 days to decide if it's for you. You can check it out. If you're still not in the avatar, the segment that would be looking for this, I understand. You're not ready for one-on-one coaching, or not interested in one-on-one coaching or mentoring, or don't need it. That's just fine. I would encourage you to register for How I Bought 18 Houses in 18 Months with None of My Own Cash or Credit. That gives us 5 weeks together. And that's a normal value of $880. You'll also get 18 months unrestricted access to my Realm network, which is like a backstage pass to those investment models, templates, forms, research recommendations, and other essential resources. The total value of that is $1,240. But today, and for the next week until Sunday evening at midnight, we're offering this for $797 or 2 equal payments of just $415. This is still, you get the 100% money back guarantee. This is for you if you are already an accomplished investor and ready for fresh perspective. You consider yourself sophisticated or professional, but sometimes struggle with strategy. You've completed some investment training, eager to apply practical knowledge. You might be a realtor, a mortgage broker with clients who can never seem to pull the trigger and close. I can probably help you with that. And your clients can benefit from the information that you'll be receiving. What if you have cash or credit, but aren't quite sure how to get started investing in real estate, or somebody wants to partner with you? This would be a good place to find out how that works. Or really, if you're only looking for a fun, educational, and inspirational way to improve your life, I'd like to see you on there. This applies for most people. Like I said, I do want to see you there, but if it's not for you, that's fine. You should not apply. You should definitely not apply. If doing so might break a loving relationship, if your husband, wife, significant other is going to leave you because of this investment of $797, don't do it. Also, if you're at your wit's end and you're on this call looking for a quick answer, I feel you, I understand. But if you have really no real estate background and registering would put you in debt, please do this. Please, if you're really in that position, I still want to talk to you for free. I absolutely will not try to sell you anything. In fact, I don't want you to go click on that link at the bottom that says 12-minute check-in unless you really need to talk to somebody and you've decided that you're not doing this. So making money is simple, but life is hard. The good news is you don't have to do it on your own. Thank you for sticking it out with me today. We were a little longer than I'd anticipated. Technical difficulties with my internet connection. I hope that you got value from our time together today. If we get an opportunity to work together, that would be fantastic. If I've made an offer that resonates with you, one-on-one coaching or the 18 and 18 program, or if none of this resonates with you, I will still send you 3 to 5 minute videos every Monday that will be encouraging, that will provide information both in business and in real estate that you can enjoy for free, because I want at least you to get to know me better. And if you really are in a point of despair and need to reach out to somebody, please line that up. Only if you're on the live call. I will have some openings, I think, for this evening and tomorrow morning. So thanks for being here. Is there anything, I'm just looking at Claude, is there anything else we need to cover? Any other burning questions? Okay, there'll be, I'll look through the questions and answers and try to figure out anything. If you've got anything you'd like to add now, you may. There will be a replay that comes. Again, thank you. Claude, any questions? No? Okay, we're going to sign off from the downtown Edmonton studio of Realm Network. And I look forward to hearing from you or seeing